What video game had the most potential but failed completely? Anyone remember Evolve? Totally agree. Had a lot of fun for the few short months it was somewhat popular. As much as I love DayZ and still play it, DayZ standalone. I bought it, ran for half an hour, found a can of beans with no can opener, was almost dying of thirst when someone murdered me for my can of beans. Future sessions went about the same way. All the amazing interactions with people I was seeing on YouTube seem horribly staged now. Everyone I ever met in that game killed on sight. Find another player with jack shit like myself. We go scavenge together. Divide everything up equally. We finally start doing alright. They wait until I've got my back turned and kill me. Sure you didn't launch Rust up instead? Cube World. The recent update that came out just completely shattered every last hope I had for the game. Got such a good game, but such a bad dev. You'll remember Brink. Sure do. Lead core tech programmer. Amma. P. Awesome. Any tech from Brink that made it into other games? Not on our end I don't think. As we moved away from ed tech after that, far bigger talent pool for Unreal Engine / Unity, and honestly the tools were much better too. I think some things may have made their way into Rage, but I'm not 100% certain. I gotta say Fallout 76. It was an ambitious attempt, but I feel it was designed as a cash grab rather than a functioning game. A multiplayer RPG set in the Fallout universe could have worked, but I feel like they didn't have enough care to make it fun and engaging. Heard it got a bit better, but I'm not sure. Still it could have been amazing edit used then instead of than. Internet historian on YouTube has a really good video on it. Duke Nukem. It was supposed to have been an awesome return of the guy. Devs brought the character straight into the pooper. I just want another Duke game. I don't give a shit if it's just a Doom Eternal clone, since there aren't any such games on the market. I think the closest we'll get is a Duke mode in Bulletstorm Remastered, which is actually pretty fun. Anthem. Of the 20 odd years I've played video games, Anthem was probably the biggest bummer of them all. Was fantastic at the beginning, then just dead quickly. So much potential. It started out strong, but then it just ran out of gas. The PvZ franchise as of now. Still sad about that. The original game was amazing, and the FPS games it had were decent, but PvZ2 is just EA being greedy with all the microtransactions. As if PvZ3's gonna be any better. It just throws the main concepts into the void. It already looks like a card game spin-off with the usual EA, but to add insult to injury, they made it as an official third installment of the franchise. Would stung a lot less if they rebranded the title to make it an actual spin-off, but yep, they just had to make it canon. It already looks like a card game spin-off with the usually. Ironically, they actually made a card game spin-off called PvZ Heroes. It was the best digital CCG out there now, but they released like 3 updates for it and killed it. Anyone remember APB, All Points Bulletin? The hype and potential that game had was enormous. Then when it came out, a giant turd. Yeah, it was like, oh my god, MMO GTA. Instead it was MMO janky lagfest. Daikatana. John Romero was going to make you his bitch. I remember this. I've actually played it too. Very meh. Hello neighbor. The alpha phase of the game was better than the full release. I feel like the game was mostly popular because kids liked watching YouTubers play it. So the full game probably wasn't that popular because most YouTubers had already moved on to other games by the time it was released. I was interested in the game without having watched any of the YouTubers that played it. The idea was just good. Breaking into a mysterious house, and every time you get caught the enemy AI learns and adapts to your behavior. Setting traps and relocating objects. It just had a ton of potential. Then the developers just forgot what the game was supposed to be about and kept redoing everything again and again until they ended up with a boring and buggy game that shared nothing with the intrigue it originally had. Worlds Adrift. Build skyships to explore player-designed islands. Be a sky pirate with a grappling hook. Was a lot of fun, but never gained popularity, mostly from griefers in higher level areas. and the servers were shut down about 18 months ago. Lawbreakers could and was amazing for that little time. I never really felt like the characters had any personality. They were all just bland representations of a class. I worked on this game and the marketing department still makes my blood boil. Nice to see people actually liked the idea at least, and saw its potential. The idea was fun with its mobility, but the game lacked more than just marketing. Above all, it lacked atmosphere. The mobility aspect wasn't so refined that it could carry the game without it. Games like that, TF2 and Titanfall for example, all had this feel because it established a universe where these characters lived in. For example, The Division and Homefront had really good atmosphere, but lacked in the gameplay department. Lawbreakers could have been good, but it did not set itself apart from other games at the time. I played the beta a ton, but it just never came to the point where I got immersed or felt the flow state in that game. I could see the craftsmanship in the game itself, but it lacked soul. We Happy Few. How did that go from a story-driven thing, like the Beatles meets Bioshock, to a weird exploration survival thing? It was never designed to be that. It's just the trailer setting up the story that gave people that expectation. So, it was a bad trailer. Then, yet further reason why games shouldn't have trailers. They should have demos. I think the trailer being too good and interesting is what failed them actually. Spore. Of course. I thought about it as well, but Spore didn't fail completely. In fact, it did decently well, both in reception and sales. But there is definitely a huge gap between what was promised/speculated and what they ended up delivering. The game itself is an okay game, but nothing special. And it feels like a few half-baked minigames that lack direction and meaningful replayability. The creature creator was the best part and they knew it, so they made a separate version only with that. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. It's no use. Now I've got you. This will end it. Take this. H1Z1. H5N1. The real life attempt wasn't that good neither. Yandere Simulator. Just finish your ducking game Yandev. CNSUMETHECOOM. Eva X. Humbly submit a toast to Nicholas Alexander for successfully managing to pirate Warcraft 3 so he may play Defense of the Ancients. Congratulations, Nick. Enjoy your Dota. Skluerp. #AHHHHHH. Imperator, Rome. This, like WTF Paradox. They had all the ingredients for it to be the best of the grand strategies, but somehow made it boring and unfulfilling. Moving peasants around one at a time was infuriating. I just closed it and refunded it. Paradox screwed up big time. I'm just glad Hoi4 continues to make me happy. I'm waiting for it to be good. Like all Paradox game, they will eventually fix it, but they are working on CK3 right now. Mass Effect Andromeda. I think it was weighed down by expectations from the previous trilogy, which I loved. I bought this a while after they patched the worst of the bugs and found it to be a good, but not outstanding game. The combat mechanics were pretty good too. I just feel sorry for the devs who got shat on and blamed for it through no fault of their own. A friend of mine said something interesting. The problem with Andromeda is that they named it Mass Effect. If it was not a Mass Effect title, it would be a decent game. A hard take by your friend. But I disagree. The facial animation alone made it an uncanny nightmare, but the voice acting and bugs up the wazoo made it literally unplayable for me. World War 3. That game had a horrible launch that it never recovered from. It got so bad that it was recently acquired by, or merged with, another company to try and revive it and fix all the issues. Too little too late, if you ask me. Apparently they are taking it off the Steam store and it's going F2P at some point. It had potential to be a juiced up modern Battlefield game. And when there was a player base for a short time, it did feel like a juiced up Battlefield with extra features. It's pretty much a dead game at this point. Spent way too long trying to figure out if this was an r/outside post or not, haha. Project Spark. It was really fun to build your own worlds and create characters. But at some point they just stopped giving us more content. Similarly, Dreams is the same kind of thing with more depth, but they're struggling to sell it. First party Sony devs are now making games within it to try to sell more. Insomniac is making a Ratchet and Clank game in Dreams because of this. Super cool concept, but it took them a full console generation to release it, and then not enough people jumped in. Jump Force. I actually find the game fun, but it looks like a beta, not a final product. To me it had to be Valorant. The game itself seemed amazing, but after playing it, it got old pretty fast. It's a class-based less tight CS, GO that looks like Paladins. Plays clunkier than Paladins IMO, which was worrying in itself. E.T. Riding on the back of the biggest movie around and it failed. Rushed to market. Poor coding. No sales. Landfill. They later made an E.T. game for SNES for some reason, and it sucked too. Too Human. I already loved it for what it was, but it could have been so much more. I loved the game. It was new and super addicting. Pokemon Go. They launched too soon with too few features and awful servers. I was disappointed by how shallow the battle system was. I honestly expected a mobile Pokemon game. APB. Great gameplay. The customization options endless. Very well done game in so many ways. Just didn't attract enough audience. It did survive as a Ref2P under Gamers First or APB, Reloaded. Anthem already forgotten? I worked at GameStop when that game came out, and I remember getting into an argument with a coworker because he thought it was gonna be the next Destiny and bought into the hype. Good times. I would love to see the #S on how successful Destiny actually is, because it's the only successful looter shooter I can think of, and all I ever hear is people complaining about it. There are fan sites, like Destinatrika, that can query stats from the Bungie API. Destiny is in a lull right now as they delayed the yearly expansion by 2 months and their current Solstice event is super grindy. On average, there's approx 700k to 800k playing PvE each day and 700k playing PvP. People who did both on same day are obviously counted in both stats. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.